Hello, and welcome to Crack Sisters Conspiracies. We're a podcast that covers conspiracy theories, mysteries, and all over spooky shit. My name is Cassandra.
And I am the problem, Jackie.
Yes, you are, and we are said
I
sisters.
don't know where to look. I have so many different squares of. I think I'm just gonna look over here.
Like either look straight or pick a face or
I'm just gonna
something.
look up. Okay.
But
What's
yes,
up?
not much. It's been a long ass weekend.
Yeah.
Yes, but we are in the process of getting ready to sell our house and then
Hmm.
buy a new house. But my mother-in-law needs to sell her house first so she can buy
She's buying
our
yours.
house. So it's
Mhm.
it's a lot of orchestration. So she was here this weekend. She just left earlier this morning.
Okay.
But yeah, she listed her house on Wednesday, and so she had a couple of open houses this weekend, which is why she
Okay.
came down. She had to get out of Dodge. And in anticipation of that, we had gone to her house last weekend over Easter weekend to help her move some stuff down. And
Hmm.
one of the things was this giant, like 14-foot quilting machine, which weighs tons. It was so big and heavy, and it took Evan and I hours to like figure out how to get it out of the house because it was too wide to go through the door, but you couldn't
Okay.
take it apart all the way. Anyway, we managed without breaking anything or anyone. We got it out of the house into the moving truck, and it is now in the garage because we're not moving that shit again.
Okay.
But I mentioned that because after her first open house yesterday, the she got an update from her realtor like, oh, you had a whole bunch of families that came through, which is good. And
Yeah.
she's like, it's hilarious though because there was a couple that was going through measuring the front room because they wanted to make sure their quilting machine would fit in there. I'm like, how bizarre is that? Like,
It's in your current garage or her current
it's
garage?
in our current garage.
Oh, I'm like, y'all can have fucking this one.
Right? But she's like, it's the biggest that they make. So, it's gonna fit. Just make sure you tell that family it's gonna fit.
Oh my gosh, that's so odd.
I
That's cool
know.
though. So
That was,
she got some like good.
yeah, she got some good traffic. And so hopefully an offer might come soon. And then we met with our realtor and checked out a couple of houses yesterday. And then that's what
Okay.
we were doing today. We went to like 9 different
Ooh.
open houses. Um, there is a huge variety of what's available. And what I'm learning is we have to live in a gated community. We have to spend $1 million fucking dollars on a
I was
house.
gonna say I can bleep it out if you don't want it known, but what is your guys' budget that you're trying to stay within?
Trying to keep it like my goal is like around. And
Okay.
so like there's a ton of inventory for like
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
we're like,
Mhm.
let's go check out everything. Let's see what's available.
Yeah.
So pretty much everything was in a 5 mile radius from where I currently live,
Yes.
all on the west end.
Yes.
Um, Jesus fucking Christ. So there were a couple of houses that we went into, and Grayson was walking around. She's like, this is not a fixer-upper. This is a burn it downer. That was her comment on a few of them.
Oh my. And
I
are these
mean,
all in the same area you were originally wanting to look, or are you just
no.
looking everywhere?
We
Okay.
were just looking to see, what was available, different neighborhoods.
Mhm.
And these were on the way lower end of the
Yeah.
price range, like in the, and I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. So like there was one that I was like, I kind of liked that was in that lower end, but it was
Mhm.
in a traditional neighborhood. There was a lot of things I liked about it. It wasn't
Okay.
perfect. And then we went to the west end in
Mhm.
the gated community, moving
Yes.
into the next. And so we went to 4 different open houses there, like them a hell of a lot more. And
Mhm.
I found this one that I am absolutely in love with.
Oh, okay.
All liked it. It is beautiful. It is on the outskirts of one of those
Yeah.
neighborhoods.
Okay.
It's it's gorgeous. It checks all of the boxes.
Hmm. I was saying,
But
I would be shocked if you literally found anything in the area that you're looking that was under.
all of them were under the
That's
most
shocking, actually.
that was the most expensive one that we saw. And it was a higher price point because every single inch of that house has been redone.
Ooh,
Like brand new everything. So nothing would need to be done to
that's
it.
nice.
And
Okay,
so I'm like, okay, hope it's here in a month when we have the money.
that's true. Maybe it'll just sit on the market and then they'll be like, we're gonna drop it
Yes.
50,000.
Yes. So what I've gathered is like we made the decision that it's either West End
Hmm.
or into another town right across
Mm.
the way.
Okay.
But there's plenty of inventory in that little
Oh,
range,
that's good.
which is good. I'm fucking exhausted though, and I'm terrified to buy a new house because spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars more than what we did for this house is like,
Yeah, tell me about it, bro.
I know. And I, but I'm like, okay, so, mortgage, no big deal. Like,
It's fine. Well, what are
I
the
get it.
interest rates at least right now? Are you drinking a beer?
I am because she drinks beer and she left.
Oh,
So I just need to get rid of it.
okay.
Interest rates are like six and a quarter,
Okay.
6.3. So, they can always up or down, whatever.
That's true.
But
Okay.
anyway, so that's what I've been doing. What's been up with you?
Speaking of buying and things, I am going to be buying a procedure for my birthday,
So
which
exciting.
I'm
You've been
very
talking
excited
about it for
about.
20 years almost.
I know. That's why I'm like, okay, mom, you can tell dad because I don't want to tell him. And she's like, he was silent. I'm like, I don't know what you guys, no one should be shocked. I've been
This is
wanting
not
this
news.
since I was 12. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm getting some sort of cosmetic procedure done. Hopefully, I still have to get my consultation. I reached out to them last week. They sent like through their website, they sent an automatic text message like, "Oh, looking forward to being in touch with you. If you have any immediate questions, you can respond here." But I never got a phone call. So I sent that text a message this morning and I'm like, "Hey, still wanting to schedule a consult, please contact me." So,
Yeah. It'll all come together.
oh well, yeah.
And I will donate to said fund. That will be, the majority of, I think, my birthday gift to you, although I've been collecting other things
Oh,
too.
perfect. And I
Yeah.
told Alex, I'm like, you can just pay for half for my birthday present. Thank you
There
so
you
much.
go. Yeah. That's exciting.
But it is. I'm
Oh,
excited.
yeah. But anywho, for my topic this week, I didn't have one at the end of the
Right.
last recording. Naturally, I had zero idea what I wanted to do because I
Right.
never know what I want to do anymore. And I had two running brain cells that I was able to run together and came up with something at the 11th hour. I don't even remember what I was doing, what I was scrolling, but it inspired me. That's how
Okay.
I always do it. But I just knew that I wanted to do something less tragic and awful because and it took me a minute because I kept circling back to all of these horrible ideas.
Yeah.
Like this would be great, but I need to pull myself out of the funk.
Yes.
So we're sprinkling in some just weird kind of unhinged shit today.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll be a different mood. Okay, so picture this. It's the 1930s. You're
Okay.
in Australia and you
Okay.
are gearing up for war.
All
Okay.
right.
War against whom, you may ask? The birds.
The birds.
The birds. Birds. Real birds. I shit you not. Australia went to war against birds. They brought machine guns, the Australians, not the birds. And and guess what? The most crazy thing about the outcome of this war? The
Yeah.
birds fucking won.
No, they did. What?
Today we are going to be talking about the Great Emu War.
Okay. I have so many questions.
I am not even kidding. This is a real thing that happened.
Real quick, before you get into your topic, because I meant to ask you, it also has to do with birds, I guess, chickens. I just saw yesterday that there's a new Mandela effect going around that I am also finding I am perplexed about. Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
You go there, you eat there.
I
How
have. Yeah.
is it spelt?
Okay, so the first time I was introduced to Chick-fil-A was when I was working for Howard's office.
Oh, okay.
And I remember seeing it as a line item on a client's receipt. And
Huh.
I would have sworn it was spelled CHIK
Yes.
dash Phil FIL dash A.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I am fairly certain it is now CHICK dash
Hmm.
FIL dash A.
Hmm.
But I have seen it both ways. I swear.
And I have seen it CHIC dash full dash
Oh.
A with no K. And so I But it's never been Chick because everyone, like, I was in a Reddit hole and everyone's like, no, I specifically remember going, oh, they spelt it wrong, or
Yeah.
they did it with a K to be chic, or they did it with a C to be chic, and you're supposed to put some sort of accent on it. Like, no, regardless of which one you remember it, no one
Yeah.
remembers that Chick fully spelled out. And I just looked up images. I'm like, that doesn't even look right. But
Yeah.
that is the new Mandela effect, is that they are
Oh,
trying to fucking gaslight us for the
about
third time now, and say that no, it's always been spelled this way. So that was
yeah.
what made me.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so
Back to the
clearly
emu.
there's something off there. But back to the emu war.
Yes.
Do you know what an emu is?
It's like a ostrich.
Yeah, it's like a big dinosaur bird related, I think, to ostriches. Okay, so let's get into it.
Okay.
In the 1930s, farmers in Western Australia were facing a pest problem of sorts. They found themselves being outnumbered and overrun by an abundance of emus. So, for those of you who are unaware, emus are, like I said, big dinosaur birds. I'm
I'll put a
legit.
picture.
Yes, they descended from, the that part of the animal kingdom. They're similar to ostriches,
Okay.
and they are native to Australia. And they are flightless. So they're like chickens. They can't fly. They
Mhm.
just run really fast. And when I say big, I mean that they're like really big. They get to about 6 feet tall, which is like pretty average.
Oh, geez.
They're actually the second largest bird in the world by height. And they run really fast, like 30 miles per hour is like an
Wow.
average like speed.
Okay.
I really like emus. I am also scared of them. I'm terrified. I have fed them a few times via
Oh.
a dustpan method at Ostrich Land up in, the Solvang area.
Oh.
It was super scary because they're like really aggressive because they're hungry. But it was
Uh-huh.
a lot of fun because I
Okay.
like them. And like when they're little babies, they're the cutest little fucking things. Oh my God.
Oh.
But by adulthood, they're kind of creepy because they have these like red eyes and they look kind of menacing. And it's just this
Okay.
big fucking weird ass bird that's bigger than you.
I
And
don't fuck with birds. Birds and
I,
monkeys, I don't. I
you
don't
know
like.
what? I think that's like a good rule of thumb. Just stay away from birds and monkeys. But they have the most beautiful eggs. That was the thing that drew me to them.
They're massive ones, right?
They're really big, so they're a little bit smaller than ostrich eggs, but they're not white. They're this like tealy forest green, like a deep green color.
What is that? Hold
Yeah,
on.
look it up because you're gonna have to put a picture in it. And
I will.
when I went to ostrich land, you can
Wow.
they're gorgeous.
That's
And
beautiful. It's like sparkly and
yes.
so pretty.
And so you can buy the drained eggshells. And so I had one and I had it up on a stand and it was in my closet because it was just so pretty. And it's like one of my favorite colors. But I was cleaning up one day and I pulled something out and it was on a top shelf and it fell and it shattered
Oh,
and so did my heart into a million pieces. So I need to get another one.
okay.
But anyway, I digress. That's what an emu is, big scary birds that are native to Australia.
Okay.
Okay. So back in that point, or back in that time, there were a ton of emus. So we're like tens of thousands of emus were taking over this particular area.
Okay.
And I am sure why that's a notable number because Australia as a country is absolutely fucking huge. This is
Yeah.
massive desert essentially. But it was localized to this particular area. So it was a lot of emus in a much smaller place. It's not like just spread out.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
And so the main issue wasn't so much that they existed, but it's because they were inadvertently destructive. Like they weren't trying to be menacing,
Mhm.
but just being where, around, they kind of brought demise with them. So
Okay.
emus tend to migrate after their breeding season and they would move outward towards the coastal regions. And at that time, a number of post-World War One vets had been given land by the Australian government with the hope that they would be able to farm it and increase the wheat crops for the country.
Mm.
And so it's like, hey, you did your service, you survived the First World War. Here's this, make a living, tend it, and help sell it for the country kind of thing.
Sure.
And this is all happening at the onset of the Great Depression. So being
Okay.
able to have an established crop that they can then utilize for the country is kind of important.
Yeah, definitely.
But like things were just kind of shitty. So it was like they were doing whatever they could to try to make life a little bit better. And so the areas that they had used for farming had a lot of cleared land, and it also had a lot of additional water supplies because it wasn't just like wheat crops that they were growing. They also had farm animals that they had to sustain. So they had to make
Okay.
sure that they had areas, water supply, and all that stuff designated for the livestock.
Yeah.
But it happened to be around the same areas that the emus would migrate through. And so naturally, they discovered these big areas where all of their needs would be met. So they have crops readily available, they have water. And
Hmm.
so the emus just decided to set up shop and they would start consuming all of the crops in like massive quantities. It was essentially like the locust, but in emu
Yeah.
form. And if they weren't eating the crops, they were trampling over the other ones. They were accidentally destroying them by literally shitting over everything, and just like spoiling the growth
Yeah.
areas. And additionally, their big fat asses were like breaking through fences that they had built up because like, oh, like a fence is not going to stop them. They'll just crash right through that. But they would leave holes in the fences that would enable other animals like rabbits and other things that would come in to help them devour the crops. So
Okay.
really, it was the circle of life happening naturally as far as, the things growing and being consumed, but they were really just like turning up the heat and making that happen a lot quicker.
Okay.
So due to their quantity, again, tens of thousands of them, and their size, big giant birds,
Yeah.
it became difficult for the farmers to control the emu population themselves, and they weren't able to really mitigate the problem. So they did what most do when they're on hard times, and they went to the government for assistance to
Oh.
see what Australia could do. Because again, this is Australian land that was gifted for them to tend. So they're like, hey, you gave us this. This is the problem. Help us fix it if you want these crops.
And had there always been emus, or did they just like randomly appear one day?
No, they've always been there. Again, they're
Oh, okay.
native. They live there. It just so happens that where they were setting up all of these fields was
Mhm.
in their migratory path that they
Oh, okay.
naturally
Okay.
would go through anyway. And that might have been an oversight on, the farmer's part, but
Sure.
that's what
Okay.
was happening. So the Australian government's response was to send in the military, obviously.
Obviously.
So, a group of soldier settlers met with the Minister of Defense at the time, and in an attempt to get their plan of attack together, they're like, okay, we got these fucking birds. What are we going to do?
Sure.
So, one of their requests before they, embarked on their journey, after having used them in real war, because again, these are soldiers that were,
Oh, I
that
thought you meant the emus.
no, no, the soldiers that come home, but they're like,
Yes.
okay, we need to bring in military people. They requested that they have machine guns available to them because they were so effective against the, counterparties in World War One. So they're like, you know what, we can take care of this problem. What's a couple of birds against a machine gun?
I mean,
And
I that tracks. That logic tracks.
right. And the Minister of Defense agreed, and they did grant them access to two machine guns. And then the condition was that the machine guns were only to be used by military personnel,
Oh,
so
okay.
not anyone else. The Western Australian government would finance the whole thing. They would finance transportation for the troops that were coming out, and the farmers would provide food, shelter, and they would cover the cost of ammunition. So it was like
Okay.
a joint effort. So yeah, what could possibly go wrong with, this new setup? So, what did war against the emus look like? You may
I would
ask.
love to know.
Okay, well, the Australian army deployed a whopping one, two, three soldiers. That's it.
Oh, okay.
And with them, the previously mentioned two machine
Yeah.
guns and 10,000 rounds of ammo.
Okay.
So, given that the goal was to reduce the emu population and not completely obliterate them, they just
Hmm.
needed to like make it more manageable. They thought that this should be sufficient enough to deal with the problem at hand.
Sure.
So the initial operation was due to begin in October of 1932, and it was immediately delayed because there was heavy rainfall that took place and it was unexpected. So they're like, okay, well, it's time to like, really, steel ourselves and get ready. But because of the unexpected rainfall, the emus ended up scattering across a much wider area,
Oh,
spreading out, and weren't localized in the same intended target that they were hoping they would stay put in.
okay.
So, with all of this happening, they ended up revising the new order date to a few days later,
Mhm.
November 2nd. And the troops were deployed to assist the farmers and eliminate and collect 100 emu skins so their feathers can be used to make hats. You know,
Oh, hats. An
they're
emu
at least
hat.
trying to like reduce, reuse, recycle.
I like that. Okay.
Yes. The deployed troops had a group, or sorry, had sighted a group of
Okay.
approximately 50 emus and planned on making this their first victorious attempt.
Yeah.
50 emus against two machine guns, come on. So they opened fire on the herd and the emus scattered immediately because of course, why would they just stand there?
Stand
They're
there.
not
Yeah.
they're not dumb. Like they
Yeah.
are intelligent animals, which makes them even more scary. The birds were actually out of range of the guns anyway, so they
God.
opened fire, wouldn't have even been able to hit them even if they were within range.
Yeah.
So the impact was negligent. Like
Nothing.
there was nothing that
Okay.
negligible, not negligent. So then they attempted to wrangle them and bring them back together for round two.
Hmm.
But the emus would break off into smaller groups and disperse. So like group A, group B, they would like take off. So they made an additional attempt, and the second round of gunfire was deemed more successful, though only a dozen or so of the emus had actually been killed.
Gosh. Okay.
So they decided, okay, we should probably regroup and
Yeah.
see. This is a harder enemy than we had expected. So what
Jesus
can we do?
Christ.
Let's give this a go and try it again a few days later. On November 4th,
Mhm.
they had spotted a large gathering of emus, so roughly 1,000, so a much,
Wow.
much larger group than they had encountered before. And it was near a local dam, so a water source, and they
Mhm.
had planned a new ambush. So having learned from their, previous lessons, they made sure that they were in range before they opened fire, at
Good.
least this time. But unfortunately for the troops, the gun jammed after only 12 birds had been killed, with
Oh.
the remaining scattering in the commotion. So off they went again,
At what point do we just say, let the birds live?
right? So reports over the next few days indicated that the emus were becoming more aware of the attempts to execute them than they
Yes.
expected, and they started to adapt their behavior to
Oh my
that.
God.
So while emus are tame in general, they can be kind of vicious. Like
Okay.
they're big, scary birds. But they started moving again in smaller packs. Like they would stay together in these new formed groups, and each pack essentially had a designated emu leader. So someone who would be responsible for standing guard
Uh-huh.
while the rest of the pack would go eat, would go drink, and that would be like the whistleblower. So they
Yeah.
would, keep eyes out for these Australian troops coming to take them out, and they would sound the alarm and everyone would move. And so they were finding their way pretty easily
Mhm.
throughout the whole thing. So the troops tried to step up their game,
Okay.
going so far as to mount machine guns on the sides of trucks now, because if
Okay.
they aren't able to do it on foot, maybe having some wheels and the advantage of speed may help. Because again,
Sure.
emus can run really fast.
Yeah.
But that didn't work either because it's the outback. It is Australia. The terrain is really rough. It's
Oh,
not
sure.
paved. It's you can't drive quickly. It's super bumpy, so you have to go really slow. And they weren't able to keep up with the birds.
God.
And they couldn't take aim because they would hit a bump and everything would be all over the place. They were unable to fire a single shot
Oh
with
my
the
God.
gun set up on the trucks.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
By the sixth day,
Uh-huh.
a total of 2,500 rounds of ammunition, 25% of the ammunition that they started out with, a whole quarter, was
Yeah.
already gone.
As a farmer, I'd be like, I'm not paying for this.
Right? It's
You
like,
guys have failed miserably.
more than once.
Like 4 times now.
Yeah. And so while the total number of emus downed over that period is unknown for certain, the estimates were fewer than a couple hundred or so compared to, 20,000 in the
Yeah.
area. So not even a drop in the bucket. So because of this, they realized that they were not going to be successful, and military personnel and the guns were withdrawn from the
That's
area.
right.
Because yeah, this shit wasn't working. And I think the farmers were complaining too, because like
Yeah.
we're feeding you, we're housing you, we are spending our money to make sure you
Yes.
have ammunitions, and you have
And you
nothing
guys are doing absolutely
to
nothing.
show for it, and probably making more destruction
Yeah.
along the way. So, I mean, the emus are like, great, we get some reprieve. Let's just
Mhm.
keep doing what we're doing. They continue to ravage the crops. And now they had the added addition of being fueled by hate
Yeah.
and spite at this
Of the
point.
government.
And the farmers were back to square one. They're like, we don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
The problem still exists. You didn't help. You know what? Let's ask the government again. Let's see if they have some better ideas. And so by November 12th, the Minister of Defense approved the resumption of military efforts again to try to tackle the emu
I
issue.
would say maybe try to poison them.
Right? Yeah, try something different. Clearly, this
Literally
is
anything else.
literally, yeah, nothing is working so far. So let's turn the page and start anew. Let's think
Okay.
outside the box.
Okay.
So after a few weeks of continued efforts with mixed rates of success each day, they had managed to eradicate approximately 968 emus
Okay.
using 9,860 rounds of ammunition, which is
Jesus.
approximately 10 rounds of ammunition per bird. That seems very inefficient to me because yeah, the ratio is all wrong.
Did they keep the same 3 soldiers? Or
Yes,
does it at least like
yeah,
they did?
they did.
Why? Why would you be like, you guys suck? Let's at least bring in 3 other new
Right? Yeah.
people who might
Some
be
fresh
better
idea.
suited for this. Oh my God. Okay.
Unsurprisingly, the attempt was deemed a total failure,
Oh, you don't
and
say.
the Emu War became a national joke.
Oh my
And
God.
the word was actually starting to spread globally. So it went
The
beyond
bird is the word, if you
the
will.
bird is the word.
That's
But yeah, like it
so
was,
embarrassing.
yes, because like Australia is like this big, like scary country full
Yeah.
of like convicts and shit, and they can't even take out fucking birds. And so people in fucking Spain are laughing at you now. Like
Yeah.
it's really bad.
Oh my gosh.
So while the initial culling of the emu herds was marginally successful, like again, maybe 1,000 in total,
Mhm.
it wasn't really successful at all. They got
Yeah.
maybe 0.5% of what they were like going for. The problem still continued to persist.
Mhm.
Farmers continued to regularly request additional support, but they got to a point where the government finally started to turn down those requests because they're like, we don't know what else to do for
We
you now.
tried. We tried one thing. What else do you want us
We
to
gave it
do?
our all. And if the military can't solve your problems, no one can.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh.
But the good news is, I mean, depending on who you ask, they did pivot and finally try something new
Oh, good.
eventually. They actually ended up pivoting to a bounty system that had been in place already since the early
Mhm.
1920s. And that ended up being wildly successful in comparison, with 57,000 emus having been turned over in a 6-month period
Wow.
in 1934. So
So
all
what? That's just citizens. If they come across an emu, they're allowed to kill it.
they're allowed to kill it and then exchange it for cash. Like
Wow, that's smart.
incentivize the people to
Yeah.
do the work. And yeah, they had much bigger success rates. But the fact that this was a system that already existed almost 10 years before they tried this operation, like, why wouldn't you try to beef that up first? Like, it's
Yeah.
already in place. Like, see how that goes. Like,
Well, they probably honestly thought, how hard is it going to be to kill a couple birds
with machine guns,
with
I
machine
guess.
guns? Yeah.
Really fucking hard, apparently. And then, in addition to the bounty system that they had upheld, they installed exclusion barrier fencing, which became really popular as a result. And it was um, essentially a better upgraded fencing system that the emus wouldn't break through, wouldn't leave holes for other, rodents and
Yeah.
small animals to get through. And over time, with the avian battle kind of, dwindling, it helped to reduce the infringement on the crops overall. The emus were then down to a more controlled population size, and
Okay.
everyone was hunky dory. Um, One fun fact that came out of all of this, emus are actually featured on the Australian coat of armor now.
Oh,
Um,
really? They
yeah,
should be. They fucking put up a good fight, man.
right? But yeah, so that is the Emu War. I thought that was fucking hilarious. And there's like newspaper articles and shit, like from different countries that are talking about the shenanigans.
Uh-huh.
There are many pictures of emus in military hats that I really like, and I would get one of those tattooed on my body because I loved it
Oh,
so much.
okay.
Because this was just the most ridiculous fucking thing that I have
I've
ever.
never heard of this. I love it. So if you were tasked with
Yeah.
controlling the emu population, what would your, knowing that the machine guns didn't work, what would your plan B be? BB, yeah.
My plan BB would be a handful of shiny objects
Okay.
and my winning personality, and I would try
Sure.
to lure them away into a different area. I don't know. I feel like I would go non-confrontational because they're native to that land. Like
That's
that's where
true.
they live. Like sorry the things that lived here before you are fucking up your shit. But
Yeah.
like that's how because I like animals more than I like most people. That's probably it. I would not be the one that you would call on to deal with this
I can tell
situation.
that was
Let's
not
be
a great
real.
answer.
What about you? What would your response be?
I mean, obviously, you dress up as an emu,
Oh, okay.
become one of them,
Yeah.
and then either you take that opportunity to slowly poison them all, or you get on like a dirt bike while in your emu costume and then just like run them away and then like come up with some sort of perimeter once you get the most of them out that makes it impenetrable so they can't come in and fuck shit up again, but you've now moved them somewhere else that's not as densely populated by farmers.
Okay, to pull on that thread, I
Yeah.
like the dressing up as an emu.
Hmm.
My goal would then be to infiltrate the emu population
Become their
with
leader.
the expectation of becoming their leader. Oh my God, the power I would wield. And
What
then
would you do with that
I
power?
could lead them away from the farmers.
Okay.
But then I would have my own emu fucking army to defend myself from the government and any other, military operation or enemy that might take place. So
So you created your own emu army.
that's what I would do.
But at some point, you're gonna have to come out of the costume. So then, will you try to like get them to associate you as the human still being their leader?
No. So what I would do, oh, I got to think through this. I'm going to have to fake my death as an emu eventually. I'm going to have to establish myself and then like martyrdom. I have to be taken down and then they put my emu body costume, like make a shrine to it. And
Yeah.
then I don't know how I'd get from point A to point B, but then I would be reincarnated as the human version of myself, but
Yeah.
having been in the environment, I would know the ways of the emu, so I
Yeah.
would very easily assimilate and then regain control and power.
Wow. You're right. You were not the person to ask. But I love where that took me.
Like, I really want to sketch this out and put some more thought into
You
it.
should
I mean,
come up with a detailed plan and bring it back to me.
because I am terrified of Australia, though. It's on my bucket list of places to go, but everything can kill you, and I also don't want to be on the plane for that long. And
Yeah,
so I am trying to settle for crows instead
that is
because
true.
crows.
Have you started any offerings or anything?
So I usually have some stuff in my pockets when I go drop Gracie off at school because there's a bunch of crows at her school, but not at home. But when we moved to a new house, I told Evan that I want a crow bar like set up in the backyard, like a designated spot where I can leave shiny objects and
Yeah, shiny.
offerings and
Hmm.
then work to establish this rapport over time and build it up one by one. So,
Well, keep us posted because I do
yes.
believe you can at least get a crow
This
to
is my
be your
goal
follower.
for the next, by 2027, I need at least one.
I think
I think it's doable.
It's
with the right
doable.
setup. Because this is something I'm looking at and keeping in mind as I'm assessing the backyards of these new
Oh.
places. There
Mhm.
has to be ample and sufficient, space, but it's on the list. It's gonna happen.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
excited for your journey.
There you go. So that's what I got. But yeah, so that made me feel really good and really happy going
Yeah, that
through
was
it, which
funny.
it
I like
pulled
that.
me out of the depressive funk a little bit.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, so what awful thing are you gonna talk about?
That's a great question. I don't know because I keep saying something and then not doing it. So you know what? I'm just not gonna fucking say
You know
anything,
what?
and
Sometimes
then
you never know what I'm doing half the time.
that's
So
true. So we're just gonna be in for another surprise. It probably will not be avian related, but who knows?
anything could happen.
Anything's possible.
But in the interim, we are always looking for new topic suggestions, obviously. So feel free to reach out to us on our various social media platforms. Drop us a line, send us an email at crackssistersconspiracies@gmail.com. Find a way to get a hold of us. Give us some new material to work
Yeah.
with. But with that, I'm going to say stay cracked, y'all.
And have a great day.